Hello and welcome to the Uncalled For. We have a great show for you this evening. It's good to see you all here. Tonight we're going to be talking about protests and uprisings all over the world. I think it's going to be an interesting evening, and maybe some links to other events, maybe not. We don't know, but we always have such a great time doing these shows. So I want to welcome everyone in the chat. Thank you so much for coming. We always do these shows for you, so thank you for coming. And we have a great panel for you tonight. We've got Dawson, we've got, of course, Claire, we've got Mipet, we've got Commander 401, and we're all here to have so much fun tonight and talk to you about different things, and we hopefully will learn something new. So thank you very much. So how is everybody doing today?
Everybody. Well, I'm doing okay. I slept another 7 hours. I don't know if you two are ready for a fully charged bear. We'll see.
Bear is fully charged. Awesome. We'll see your eyes glow in a few minutes.
Exactly. We'll see. We'll see what happens. There could be laser beams coming out there. Who knows?
Exactly. I did take a nap this afternoon. It did feel good.
Oh, it's good. It's good.
It is good. It always is good. You know, it's funny, as we're kids, we always fight naps and sleeping, and then as we get older, we just relish those things. So, which is a good thing.
I don't get enough. Like a nap. Naps are great. Naps are like the best thing ever.
They certainly are, and it felt really good. And I did feel recharged after that one. So my eyes should be glowing too, just like the kitties. So, yeah. So what have we got tonight? We have protests and everything all over the world. There are a few that have been standing out as of recently. We have our big ones, which are Iran, and now Brazil had their storming of their, I guess, congressional buildings or governmental buildings too.
Yeah, that was wild. Like, wow.
Yeah. And interesting parallels too. It's they were claiming that the votes, they were claiming the same thing, that there was voter fraud and things like that. Is that what they were claiming?
They were here in the United States. That sounds very familiar. Like very familiar.
Bolsonaro's,
yeah.
Bolsonaro's people are in contact with Steve Bannon and other shitheads.
Ah,
so there's some link there. Well, there's a lot of unrest.
There
Not
is,
only in Brazil.
right?
It seems the chat's been reading our mind. They're already mentioning Peru.
And Peru, yep.
Yep. Okay.
That's another big one that's getting bigger. So that should be an interesting one to see too. Yeah. So where should we start first?
I've got that tracker one loaded and ready for everybody, if that's what you want.
Thing to look at.
It's a good source of start if anybody wants to do research afterward. Great one.
Oh, miss anybody? Should I bring that one up then?
It went dead for me, so I'm not sure what was said. Like everything went.
Oh, yep. I just lost my connection.
I think we had a total Google glitch as well. So here, I'll bring up that tracker and we'll see where we end up here. Yeah.
Sure. Can you hear me now?
Perfect.
I can hear you.
Okay, good. Because I just dropped too. It's snowing here. It's really snowing good. So, but yes, with this global protest tracker, they are saying that over 400 significant anti-government protests have erupted worldwide. More than 132 countries have experienced significant protests. 23% of significant protests have lasted more than 3 months. And 135 significant economic anti-government protests have occurred since 2017.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Look at that. Like, that's a lot of dots on a map, man.
That is a lot of dots on a map. They're everywhere. And in places that you wouldn't expect. Like there's one in Canada. There's one, of course, one here, and everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Where
and
should we go? You want to go to Peru? You guys were talking about Peru.
yeah,
It
we can
looks like I can
definitely go
click.
there. Yeah. Um, in Peru, the anti-government protests have been going on since November of 2022. Prosecutors opened 6 criminal investigations into President Pedro Castillo for alleged corruption. They also had the trucker and farm protests since the same time, and rapidly rising prices of fuel and shortages of fertilizer are causing those unrests. Um, since August, illegal mining sector protests, national police seized and destroyed equipment and supplies used in illegal mining operations. So they've been having a lot there because that's quite the scroll bar.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say this is huge little list.
Yeah.
Well, also in December, they had a huge protest about the dismissal of President Pedro Castillo.
Yes.
That also on top of it. I mean, they've got a lot going on.
They do have a lot going on right now, and it looks like most of it is still ongoing, and they've had electoral protests.
Yep. That's the thing. They're going against the elected shades of what was going on here in the United States. A whole revolt
Mhm.
against who was voted in as president with the democratic process, saying that they don't want them. They're going against. They want to use alter democratic rights and to usurp them. Feel that the president was usurped by this election. And they want Congress to be shut down, and they want new elections. That's what they're protesting for, that they want a brand new election where they want the
Wow.
people, they say, to choose the governor, who governs them. So,
Right.
like, whoa.
Exactly. Yeah. It looks like even
Boy.
Mexico has had some too.
Yeah.
Ecuador.
Yeah.
Femicide protests in Ecuador that started in September of 2022. The disappearance and murder of 34-year-old lawyer Maria Belén Bernal. They're protesting about that. I've seen a lot of that in the past too, like looking through Mexico. They had protests about that a couple years ago. They had some protests about femicide as well. So, people ask about barriers for women in society. I think we just found some. It's
Yeah.
the handling of things like that.
hmm
Some of the handling of domestic violence cases I've noticed as well could be considered barriers. The United Kingdom even has one. March of the Mummies, high and increasing costs of childcare in the United Kingdom. Um, April 20th of 2022, rising prices for many goods, including fuel and food, call for protest by labor unions. So just stop oil protests. They've had quite a few as well. France has had one with the Kurdish protests. A gunman killed 3 people at a Kurdish cultural center in nearby Kurdish cafe in Paris, and so they're protesting that. There's an anti-immigration bill protest in December. The French government moved forward with plans to pass legislation that would allow migrants with a deportation order to be put on a wanted list in order to streamline deportations, and they're protesting that.
Wow.
Cost of living strikes and protests, anti-immigration protests, the murder of a 12-year-old girl by an illegal immigrant from Algeria.
Oh.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's a whole bunch. The health pass protest, police protest, climate law. There's a lot that was going on in France.
That's a lot of orange vests and a lot of Molotov cocktails if it's in France.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, Europe is full of them. It's amazing. In Belarus, they had the anti-war protest in February of 2022. The holding of a referendum on whether to adopt a new constitution that would renounce Belarus's non-nuclear status and allow President Alexander Lukashenko to stay in power until 2035.
Whoa.
Yeah. the Slipper Uprising in June of 2020, arrests of opposition presidential candidates, anger over the perceived fraudulent August 2020 presidential election. So, yeah, they've had a few.
Yep.
Of course, Ukraine has the peace plan protests in 2019. President Volodymyr Zelensky's decision to grant special status to a separatist region in eastern Ukraine as part of a larger deal with Moscow, and they protested that. Spain has had some public health care protests in November of 2022. Policies implemented by the conservative regional government in Madrid, which protesters said was dismantling the public health system in favor of private providers. And there was an anti-government protest as well. Yes, Claire.
Yeah, there's a question in the chat from Liam. He wants to know if it actually shows the demonstrations right now that are going on by the Tory government's attempts to make demonstration actually illegal in the UK. Like, I wonder if that's on the map yet. Because, you know, everybody's on strike over there. Nurses, ambulance drivers, postal workers, like there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
And instead of solving problems and having some conversations, their answer to it is, let's just make it illegal for them to protest.
Exactly.
Maggie Thatcher was beating coal miners. They have a history of that.
Yeah. So I wonder if under the UK or England it has it yet. I wonder if they're up to speed.
Yeah. They're not quite up to speed yet. I think they need to be updated some more because their last one was October, which was the March of the Mummies, and then they had in April the rising price protests. So I think that's. But I did notice that there were strikes everywhere in the UK because
the postal's been on strike for a while now. Yeah.
Yes. There was the postal service. Then, of course, you know, their emergency personnel, you know, their healthcare sector was protesting.
Right. Which hasn't helped with all of the numbers for the NHS with, you know, quality of care and the problems they're having with cardiac care and everything over there.
Absolutely. And the stories that come out of there over that are just incredible about the wait times. It's scary.
And it's been getting worse with Boris Johnson. He actually gave the job of managing the NHS to American healthcare companies contracted, and the ratio of providers to bureaucrats has steadily gone up and up and up with the Tories.
Yep, exactly. That's not good. Very good. February of 2022, they did have protests in Russia over the Ukraine invasions, but of course they shot those right down. And Alexei Navalny, who ran against Vladimir Putin, there were protests about that, but of course those are all been pretty much squashed.
Yeah, an anti-corruption activist. Well, better arrest him.
Yeah, exactly. Canada has had some. The Ontario Education Worker Strike and protests in November of 2022. The Ontario government invoked the notwithstanding clause of Canada's constitution to force education workers not to strike. And then, of course, the coronavirus restrictions protests with the mask mandates. We have in May of 2022, our abortion ruling protests, the circulation of a leaked Supreme Court draft opinion that would overturn the court's prior ruling in Roe v. Wade, which guaranteed abortion rights, reignited in June of 2022 by the court overturning Roe v. Wade in a decision issued on June 24th. And then, of course, our electoral protests in November of 2020.
Did you notice that they said they have those as settled, like it's not still going on? I'm like, excuse me?
Exactly.
I'm not settled. Are you settled?
I'm not done yet.
I'm not done yet. Like, who did they talk to?
Exactly. It's not over yet. It's really so bad. It's just. But yeah, they listed as settled. Yeah. And then they go right straight back to the electoral protests in November of 2020 with that was saying that vote counts were inaccurate and that there had been significant electoral fraud. And then I don't think the police brutality protests have been settled either.
No, I don't think so. They're still going on here and there, everywhere.
A lot going on. Yes, exactly.
Shouldn't the whole country be covered in dots? Because it doesn't just happen
Oh,
in one place, does it?
Yeah.
Right.
oh
Like
yeah.
the whole country. Sorry,
Exactly.
The BL,
guys.
It's
Oh,
okay.
the BLM protests, most of them were peaceful. Where I was, there was like 3 miles of streets just lined with people with signs, but there was no fires, no damaged property. You
we
know,
did have trouble here on the East Coast with that. We had some that were not so much damage to people, but damage to property for
Yep.
people, that just causes long-term damage for people that were innocently involved in it just because they own a store, doesn't anything. They just happen to have it in that area. Oh, so there was a lot of damage done there, a little disconcerting. And mostly here in most of the shore towns here, there were some actual pushback from police about any type of protesting, peaceful or not, that
Exactly.
caused quite a few lawsuits and quite a few ongoing issues with the town's police against the people because it was unreasonable. A lot of young people protested here on shore, and
Yeah.
they weren't violent about it at all. Well, they didn't want them
Nice.
protesting at any way at all. They didn't want them in large crowds anywhere. There was like a overreaction to it, I guess, in fear that it would turn into something.
Right.
Perhaps, but it did. They've got quite a few lawsuits settled because of it.
Wow. Not good. Malta was looking at an abortion bill. They had an abortion bill protest in December of 2022. The Maltese parliament introduced a bill that would permit legal abortion in cases where the mother's life is at risk. So they've been battling with that too. Yes. So
Yeah.
Malta is one. Italy's had
That's
protests.
Was that
Yeah.
still going on in Malta, or did they have that settled too now that the law is passed?
It doesn't say. I'm not sure how to tell if they're settled or not.
That's it. It has the word. Oh, I can't remember.
Yeah.
Let me just see if I can pull it up and look. I had the link a second ago.
Oh, okay. Probably I need to scroll down to look at that, I think.
It's like over to the side of it, like in the.
Okay.
But where you're looking, they give you more detail. I'm looking like when I look up at the big list up for it on the opening in the beginning, it shows you.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah. So
Status
like where was
free.
that? Malta. So I could look on the
Mhm.
front screen for Malta alphabetically before you
Duration.
open it up, and then kind of
Yeah.
tells me.
Status says
Yeah.
free.
And I guess that means that it's done. It's
Oh.
free status. Because the other one, what's the other? It says free, or it's the terminology that helped me.
Exactly. Let's look at these. I see a lot of free, and I'm just clicking around to see what if anything was settled, considered settled.
Well, free, I think, means like free of the conflict, right?
I think so. But I'm not
There's even a
sure.
violent tab. Wow.
I know,
Oh,
right?
yeah. Well, let me click on.
Right, let's see.
Wow. Iran's in the
Not
violent
free.
tab. Who would have
Yep.
thought?
I know.
Well, like they're
Shocker.
shooting children in the back. I mean,
Yeah.
they better be.
Kids.
Yeah, they better
I
be in
can.
a violent. Yeah.
Wow. Their status is not free with Iran
Yeah,
and
no. So
everything.
that means ongoing. So free means, I think, that it's not. It considered like not
Not
actively,
active. Okay.
not active, some way. I was looking at it before. It was a
The
weird way to
duration.
say it. Like
It
free of
is.
what? Free of what? Opinion? Free of like action? Free of violence? Like what are you talking about?
Free of nicotine.
Exactly.
This is a non-smoking protest.
Oh God! Just as long as they
Yeah.
don't take coffee, just not free
Oh
of
God.
caffeine.
Yeah. No, don't take my tea either. Um, I guess part of it too is looking at the duration.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I guess that's part of it because I do say that Iran is saying not free, but the duration, it says it's still active for like the Amini protests. And then they give a duration, they give a length of all the other ones. The public sector employees protest is still active. Yeah, water shortage, down plains, fuel hike, water protests, budget protests. The only two that I show that are active in Iran right now are the food pricing and the Mahsa Amini protests. Those are still ongoing, they're saying. So I'm just clicking around randomly to see what's going on. Yeah. And they're saying, oh, you can download the things. Yeah, that's cool. But yeah, Iran is under the violent tab.
Looks more like the world's gone to hell to me.
Exactly. There's just so many dots. It's sad. So, but North Korea hasn't had any. Poland has had some education bill protests. The parliament resumed efforts to pass a law centralizing control over schools, and they were protested against that. That one is showing as free and only lasted 2 months. So those aren't open anymore. I guess the active ones are the ones that are still open. It's kind of hard to tell, but I think filter protests by active. Okay. And there are different ones. Like Azerbaijan is, they're protesting a corridor blockade, and it's active, but it's not free. Bangladesh with anti-government protests is partly free. So I wonder if that means they're getting some of what they're wanting passed. I'm not sure. I don't know what that means. But they're still active.
Yeah, they've either started the negotiations or they're working on it, or the quantity, like the number of people actually protesting out there, that you can actually see. Maybe that has something to do. I'm wondering if that's what it means by free. If you don't see active, in the street kind of protesting, like if that's why they're calling it free. Because I know the issues are still there.
Exactly. Exactly.
Especially like for our country, when they said about Roe versus, Wade, about that, like the issue's still there. It's just like maybe there's not a big march about it in Washington anymore. Not
Exactly.
like 100,000 people standing there.
That's true. Germany has an active protest. It's less than 100.
What is it about, that one?
The Let's generation protests? I'm not sure what that is.
You can protest one generation against another. I mean, we all do that, right? It would be kind of wild. Kind of wild.
Exactly. I was seeing a lot of cost of living protests, which are in Ghana and Haiti. Hungary had teacher protests. Iran
Sounds like
has.
we all have more in common than we think all over the world.
Exactly.
Cost of living everywhere has gone through the roof. Distribution of food at a reasonable rate has become a multi-country problem. England, here, everywhere.
Exactly. Jordan is a dignity strike and protest, still active. Kosovo had something of license plate protests.
License plate. Wait, a license plate protest made the list?
In Kosovo. They're listed as partly free. Okay. Then we have Lebanon, which is the October movement from October of 2019. That's still active and that's partly free. Liberia has anti-government protests, which is still active and partly free. Moldova is protesting fuel prices. That's still active and partly free. Ooh, Mongolia had coal theft
Oh,
protests. And yeah, so that's interesting as well.
I have an answer for you on the generation protest. It says, Let's Say Generation, this is from Icarus, is a climate change group. So it could be in regards to moving against that group or that group. I didn't know the name
Yeah.
of that group. It's called Last Generation, and it's a
Yeah.
climate change group.
Okay. So that's in Italy, right? The Ultima Generazione. Is that the one?
And he's saying it's LETDTE. That
Yeah.
sounds. Everybody else says, let's just blame Generation Z. No, no. Like, I can't do that because we were all like, we weren't Generation Z, but we were all once a generation that
Exactly.
everyone older than us or had been before wanted to get rid of us too. Like, just,
Exactly.
Icarus says it's the German group, but other countries might have similar groups. The one that he said is the German one.
Okay. The German
Yeah.
group. Okay.
Thank you very much, Icarus.
Yeah. The Let's the Generation protests?
Yeah, I'm trying to give him the link to that. Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I posted it before in the chat for people up above, but
Okay.
post it
Thank you.
again for you. It is interesting when you have some time to go look at those. We think
is.
we know. For me, it is like seeing how much we have in common with all the other countries out there. You go through the list
Absolutely.
alphabetically and you're going down that list and you can say, yes, we have that here. Yes, we have that here. Yes, we have a problem with that here.
Yep.
I don't necessarily agree with them saying they're free of
Right?
the issues because I don't exactly know what it means, But
Exactly.
yeah. But as far
Exactly.
as food prices, cost of living, fuel, heating, right now utilities and heating in the UK and in the United States are through the roof.
Oh, it's crazy. And
Yeah.
every 5 minutes we have two that are really bad. And I'm surprised that we haven't seen anybody protest here, but we have a lot of this, well, that's just a free market and how it works. And that's it. Which is a load of tripe to me. But
Oh,
anyway,
it is
yeah,
because how do you say that, right, Aimee? When you're
exactly.
it's a free market, okay? So you're allowed to not only reasonably raise it in increments like you would expect, but you're allowed to
Mhm.
triple or quadruple the rate in 1 year and expect people that are living like paycheck to paycheck to be able to absorb that. Like free
And be
enterprise
okay with it. And yeah.
does take people to actually participate. So if we're not paying for it, like so that you
Right.
can do this, where are you going to get it? Government subsidiaries? Are you not just like, robbing from Peter to pay Paul? What? Like that's what's
That's
going on. I know
exactly
that they got that system in UK.
it.
Many
Mhm.
people get subsidies for it, and the subsidy did increase, but nowhere near enough to pay. Some people's bills went from $1,000 to $4,000 for the like.
Well, exactly. And what price increase do you start to think, at what level do you start to think that it becomes gouging? Um,
Exactly. Like what are the guidelines? You want less government so that you can operate capitalist and industrial countries, right? You want less
Mhm.
government interference, but you won't use common sense and be decent to people about it. Like, yeah, and we're
Exactly.
not supposed to uproar and make the government do something to you, right? Like, come on. Like if you don't want the interference, then fly right. You don't have like how much more money do you need to make? The people at the top, you already got the big house, you got the yacht, you're taking months off for
Exactly.
vacation. How much more do you need?
Well, that's
Seriously.
exactly it. And then they say how wonderful their profit margin was this year, and it's like,
Hmm.
I might have to swear for a second. I'm sorry, everybody. You just want to give these companies a hearty fuck you when they do that, because then you think about those record profits and
Exactly.
everything's going up. The price of natural gas is going up. So we have to raise the prices by 300%. You
Mm-hmm.
know, this is going up. So we have to raise these prices so we can continue to deliver quality service, which they don't.
It's infuriating.
And it's constant. It's very
Right.
infuriating, and
Would you like
ridiculous.
a grub muffin?
Yes,
We need a
please.
grub muffin.
Yes, please.
That's
Thank you.
to all the CEOs who won't take a 0.5% pay cut so that the pensions, the health insurance, and the wages of all the regular workers don't take the hit for you to balance your budget. There you go.
Exactly. Thank
We need
you.
another one.
And
For
we'll
being
all
price
see you
gougers.
next Tuesday.
And that,
Yeah. Yes. Mm.
exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
just insane.
Because you'll notice that, like, if you look at the actual financials of these companies, crime, poverty, they never balance up at the top. It's always taken away from everybody down at the bottom.
Oh, that's where their cuts
Increase the price, make the worker work for less, give them less. You know, because gosh, you know, I do need that 6 months off this year. Like, I should only have to work 6 months out of the year. I'm already making $5 million a year. I don't care how smart you are. You don't need to work for $5 million. I don't care how smart you are. Unless you're like solving the whole world's problems, get the hell out of here. You don't need $5 million a year.
Exactly. Come on.
Come
What the
on.
hell's the matter with you?
There's capitalists, and then there's capitalists just crazy. Unfortunately, we got capitalists crazy here.
We do. We have, yes, fed by greed. It really is. I mean, it's just, well, we need to make more. We need more profit. Our shareholders need more profit.
Mhm.
Well,
They
let
can
me
have
poke the
profit.
shareholder. Yeah. They
Yes,
can
they
profit
could.
by my finger going in their eye, you know?
Yeah, they can start by like putting a cap of like a certain $1 million a year, and to hell with those. But you're already making $5 million a year, and then you get the $2 million bonus because you cut the budget so well. Like, I'm serious.
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
that's the game. That's the shareholders will vote in that $2 million bonus for you because you cut the budget so well. Why don't they just share that $2 million bonus with the shareholders and forget it? Like, just forget it.
Exactly. Exactly. Spread the love.
Yes. Yes.
And stop raising our prices so high. I mean, it's ridiculous. I've gone from when I first moved in here, it was like I had like a $60 electric bill. It's now, I would say, $150 to $160 for just two people in a 2-bedroom flat. Yeah,
Wow.
exactly. I mean, it's just,
Wow.
can we say gouging now? I mean, 'cause holy
Yeah.
crap. It's just ridiculous. Yeah, and I just looked at, whoa, it went down a little bit because of all the power outages we had. It's now 143 instead of
Isn't that a
160.
shame? You got to be without power for a week to lower your bill. Like, it's
Yeah.
insane. It's
But
like
then
insane.
it is. Well, you know what's really funny is during the ice storm way back in 98, even they were crooked then. Our electric bill went up because they said, well, we had to pay extra for the workers to come and help restore the power, even though you had no power for 2 weeks. And we had it's a maintenance fee.
Mhm.
Nasty.
Yes, exactly. It's, I mean, it's just ridiculous, and that's what they're going to do again. And we had a week in 2017 where it went, where we had no power because of a hurricane we had come up. That was also, our electric bill went up then because they had to pay for the workers to come in, and they had to pay for the repairs. So it's our fault, of course. So we had to pay for that. They didn't absorb any of that.
Wow.
So yeah. So
It is. Well, you know,
yeah.
besides cost of living, we unfortunately we have all this election stuff
Exactly.
going on in all the other countries too. The same kind of unrest we had here, just like
Yes.
following the
Lot.
process and not agreeing with the results, and then, you know,
Exactly.
fighting back, but to different, to different sides. Like in Peru and Brazil, they have like a different take on it. It's about someone usurping something in one time and want to come back. On one of them, it's to come back
Yes.
to a democratic process, and the other one is just against the democratic process because they just didn't like the outcome.
Exactly. And that's what I've noticed as well. That's that seems to be like we were talking about earlier with Brazil. It was I guess like what Commander was saying too about how what's his name, Commander 401, the one that Steve Bannon was the one that was consulting with some of them down there about about how all that should look when they protest down there, and the thing that, their activities, I guess you could say, what they were doing. So yeah, it's so that should be interesting. Yeah,
I
it
don't know
seems
if
to,
Commander, are
yeah,
you there? I think they muted.
yeah, they're
I'll be
muted.
back.
So yeah,
Mhm.
but yeah, but yeah, see that one, the one in Brazil stands out to me because it seems like it is mirroring January 6th. What are your
Mhm.
thoughts on that?
Oh, I definitely think so because I mean everybody's reporting on it. Like most of the major the Washington Post, the New York Times, um, even the Independent over in the UK,
Hmm.
they just it's just about unrest. It's not settling for what the Democratic Caucus has done. Another small sanction, just deciding that it's not good, and they just start fighting against it and start protesting against it, like we had. Theirs was also violent, which I was
Hmm.
surprised. It really took
Absolutely.
me back January 6th on the violence of it. Um, uh, for our country on such a place like the Capitol, and to do that. I don't think I'm going to get over that for quite a while. That was something I never thought I'd see in my lifetime. Well, in
No.
Brazil too, and but
Yeah.
what they're saying is like it's still going on. Like just
Hmm.
now here in our Congress, it took only 20 congressmen to hold up for hours and hours and hours a vote on speaker in the process. They just didn't like the way the vote was going, so they just kept doing it.
Yeah,
And it was only
exactly.
it was 20 of them. There are like what 100 and I don't know the exact number, but I know it's more than 100 of them voting, and only 20 of them were able to, through insolence, stubbornness, in
Hmm.
pushback, able to turn the tide. That's scary to me.
Exactly.
That's
That's
scary to
very
me.
scary.
Mm,
That's absolutely very scary. It's bad.
mhm.
It's
Well, that doesn't seem like democracy to me. That seems like
that's not
squeaky wheel. People tired of putting up with you. Like you're just yelling. Like, do you have a point? Like, there's only 20 of you. I think if you really had a
exactly.
point, there'd be a hell of a lot more of you. But still, y- y- like you're the there's a reality check kind of thing.
Hmm.
You are the minority. Okay. There's a process when you're the minority. Okay.
Right.
It's, you got to win the argument to get more people on your side before you take a bat to everybody to make your point. That,
Exactly.
that's all I have to say about it. That's it.
It's just
That's
yes.
my view on it.
And sadly enough, the funny part was during those 15 votes, before McCarthy had to do his wheeling and dealing to get himself elected, Hakeem Jeffries had more votes than he did.
He did. He did. And you know what? I was making jokes. I want to see the food orders. I want to see if you fed these people and gave them water while you held them hostage there until they voted the way you wanted. I'm calling war crimes here. Like, I want to see that they
Exactly.
were treated appropriately. Did you give them potty breaks? What kind of torture did you put these people on? I want to know. Did they have full bladders? Were they hungry? Were they thirsty? Were they just damn tired of sitting there in those stiff little wooden chairs waiting on this stuff? Like, come on.
That has skid marks in their undies.
Exactly. It's like Mipet calls for an undie check. Like this is serious. This is serious. No. Yeah.
They must have flooded afterwards they must have flooded the sewer systems in
I'm
DC
telling
because they
you.
had to go so bad because they were stuck there all day. I'm
It
Geneva
was horrible.
Convention, cruel and unusual punishment on our end.
Hmm.
And what they yes, exactly. And what they inflicted on the American people having to see 15 freaking votes. It's just
Yes.
crazy.
Hmm. Like and as I said before, like McCarthy, like you didn't win the vote. I can see one or two, but you know, if anybody else did that, like, can you just not take it? They're just not that into you, dude. They don't want you, okay? They don't want you,
Exactly.
boo. Like,
Get it,
don't play bunny boiler, okay? Don't keep going for it. If they say no, walk away. I mean, that would be the sensible thing to do. No, now he owes everybody everything. Nobody's going to get anything done. Everything's going to get all messed up. By the time he pays off everything, he's got to pay off for all the deals that he made.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what they're going to be. They're going to be, and all because now he's got a job that nobody wanted him to have, that he's not going to be able to do because nobody really wants him there. You strong-armed them. You twisted their arm. You know,
I can give him some good life advice. When this happens to you,
shut up, Meg.
Exactly. That's what
you
they
don't get up and ask for more. You don't.
After the third vote, that's exactly what they should have did. Clocked him in the back of the head and kicked him right out of the building.
Oh gosh, yes.
That's it. You get 3 strikes, you're out usually. What's this 15 stuff?
I know. That was just a load of crap. They should have just all rallied behind Hakeem Jeffries and just elected him.
Exactly. I'm for that, actually.
Exactly. He probably would have gotten further than
I think he would have got more people to work with him since more people voted for him. Like, and he didn't have to do anything, but
exactly.
he didn't have to make any deals to get it.
No, exactly. It's just crazy. This is the era that we're living in now, though. It's just pure chaos and craziness. It's just incredible.
Is that what we're going to call 2023? Chaos and craziness? Like the year of, yeah.
And year of the cult, too. I've looked at some stuff and it's...
Very much, yeah.
Yeah, just a lot of just me going, because it's painful.
I hear you. Like, I'm zipping it on that because that would take a good, like, 4-hour session.
That might be a several-parter, I think.
I think I know who you're talking about too. My God. I never thought we'd have to say that name again.
I know, but we'll just call him Pinhead Larry for now. So we'll but yes. Discussion for another time.
Pinhead. That's a good one. I like that one. Pinhead.
Thank you. If you ever look, he's got a pinhead. But yeah, a lot of public healthcare protests I've noticed, power grab protests, and just stop oil for one. But yeah, a lot of fuel prices. So basically the cost of living crisis everywhere is causing protests everywhere. People should pay attention to that because, oh my God. Well, there was for a while there, gas here, which is unusual for us, was over $5 a gallon. I'd never seen it that high before, ever. So that means, well, while here we do pay less for gas than a lot of other countries do, like Canada and the UK, but we also have to pay for that heating oil. And when winter is coming, and yes, and you have to pay $5 per gallon for heating oil. Do you know how many people that's going to price out of being able to heat their homes? Yeah. Especially in a northern tier state, like all of them in the wintertime when it gets really brutally cold. Yeah.
$7 eggs, $10 eggs. In more countries than one. Eggs, that's the foundation of everything.
But I have a question on that. Why have eggs become so much more expensive? Are they like ornery little pricks now and it's hard to get the eggs from them? Are they fighting back? Why are they so much more expensive?
It's a combination of things. It's a combination of the avian flu, the virus, the lack of trucking availability and all the new legislations against penning them against the horrific ways that they used to produce them, that they've had to, some of them have cut back because there were new regulations that made them treat them better. And that happened in several countries, including the United States. It's a combination. It's just a combination of fear
Just
when the
so-
avian flu
yeah.
came, masses, whole
Yeah.
hordes and warehouses of chickens were put
Chickens
to death.
dead. Yeah,
Right.
everywhere.
And so,
Yeah,
Everywhere,
okay,
yeah.
It was,
you
it
don't
was
get
all
to
to do
kill a
with
bunch of
carrots.
chickens and expect a bunch of new chickens coming in that know that happened, don't want to reproduce or do anything like that. Like, I wouldn't be laying eggs right now
Yeah.
anyway if I was a chicken. I'd be like, really?
Exactly.
Really, people?
Exactly.
Yeah, no. I mean, you
I-
got to
I
have the
was-
right environment.
Yeah, I was just
Yes.
concerned they were fighting back. So at least it's not that. That's a good thing.
No,
There's been
they're
no
not the
major
ones protesting,
protests of
if there are
chickens.
any left.
Although before the virus, there was down at the chicken farm by me, there were those 50 chickens that came out and stopped traffic for like the whole day. But that was before everything. I don't think it has anything to do with it. Like, I haven't heard of any.
Right.
Have you heard? I
You
don't think
can-
any were on that list,
You can
right?
take my
No.
freedom, but you'll never take my eggs.
Oh, no. But yeah, the chicken
Yes.
protests, that would be something. Can you imagine a bunch
That
of
would
roosters
be-
organizing? Then
I know. And all those little
Just,
bobbing
it
heads.
sounds so South Park. I mean,
It does. It
Yeah.
does. But it's
I'm-
incredible the price of eggs right now. Of course, everything's going up. $6 for a gallon of milk. When I
Uh-huh.
went the other day.
No.
There you go. And these are the
$6.
basics. These are the basics. Not alone. Right. You know, these are the basics that we need.
Exactly. And it's just,
Would I
Yeah,
be a Rhode
$6
Island red? No, Sleet. I don't think so. I don't think they'd have me. I'm from Jersey. They don't let us in. It's like, no.
That's
Yeah.
still
But we,
New England, so yeah.
can you imagine? I'm gonna have to call the chicken farm tomorrow and see if they've named anyone Norma Ray and try to warn them what could be coming. If they don't.
That's right.
No, just look up Australian Emu War.
Yes. That's
Trust
true.
me on this.
Mm.
Claire, don't do it because then you
No,
will.
wait. Okay, wait. What am I looking up now? What am I not supposed to
Australian-
look up that I'm in the middle of typing right now? What?
Australian Emu War.
Oh no, I know all
Okay.
about this. Oh, we're not going to get into this, are we? Like,
There
you
you go.
guys
No,
lost.
not now.
The
but just
emus beat you.
something
That's all there is to
something
it.
later. Okay. There you go. There you go.
There's a good summary
later.
right there. Exactly.
That's
Just
it.
for
The
later.
emus won.
Okay.
The emus won. So exactly, that's what's going to happen
That's
here. She's
right. We're
telling
going
us,
to
Aimee.
continue on with today. We'll
The
talk
chickens
about
are
it
going to
later.
win. This is what she's predicting. The chickens are going to win. The lookout dig
Absolutely.
Canada. Look out,
Here
Aimee. We
we
got to
go.
watch it here. You know,
There you
we're
go.
going to
You've
watch
got
it over in New
a
Zealand.
super sticker to talk about. Okay, I'm muting again. My throat hurts.
Oh, okay. Oh, and thank you very much. We have a super chat from Silver Earth for $4 and it's a little pear with a cup of something to drink.
It
That's
looks
so
like
cute.
coffee. I'm like
It
really happy.
does.
Or it could be tea for Aimee, but thank
It
you.
could be, yes, thank you. I do have my soup bowl mug right here, and yes, it has my $6 milk in it.
I'm,
Ouch! I just oh, it just
I'm
hurts so
drinking it
much.
black. No $6 milk for me, but I am drinking it from my Facts Not effery cup. Helps.
Exactly. I know. It's just I'm trying to wean myself off, but I'm struggling because tea without milk is just
I can't do it. I
tea.
cannot do it.
It's brazen. It's bold. Tea. It's brisk.
yeah.
Tea
I
without
know.
milk is brisk.
It's
Yes.
wrong.
Yes, but you got to realize I'm going to
Oh.
turn 50 this year, and I have drunk my tea my whole entire life with milk in it or
Yep.
cream.
It is hard to
And
change.
It's very hard to change, and I'm getting very stubborn and very set in my ways. So it's like,
When I switched to one with a little flavor. Like I have one. It's a black tea. It's got cinnamon and ginger in it, so it's
Yes.
kind of better without the milk. Like
I do like yes, and I like masala chai. It's really good. I drink that a lot. And I'm really struggling though. And it's like I just have this urge to put sugar in there, but I won't buy that either because that's starting to go up in price too.
It used to be we used to complain about sugar. Wasn't that one of the first things that went up? I mean, I'm just
Yeah.
sugar and butter, right? And now it's eggs and bread and milk, which are
It's
like, the climate change warriors there. Like whenever they say we're going to have a big storm, what do we all run to the store for? Eggs, milk, and bread.
and bread every time. And then the power
Yep.
goes out. We lose at least 2 out of the 3. But at
Yeah,
least
what are we
with
gonna
bread,
do
you
with
can
the
just have a
eggs?
sandwich.
What
you
are,
know.
what are we going to do with the eggs when the power goes out? I never understood that. Why we always go and get that when we know if the power goes out, we're not going to be able to do it.
Well, that's
In
it.
case-
I always used to buy, like canned soups that, because I don't like electric can openers. I'm weird. So I just have the hand crank ones. So I always bought soup because at least you can eat it cold out of the can if you have to.
Yep.
At least you can go somewhere with that. You can make yourself a sandwich with bread. I can understand that. But buying eggs, and I'd be so worried about milk. But what you can do with milk too, like if you live up here and in the winter the power goes out, you can stick it in a snowbank and it can last a little
Yeah.
bit that way too.
Yeah.
So there is
I mean,
that.
I get it if you're European and they have clean collection of eggs and they don't acid wash them and therefore they stay fine on the shelf, but not in North America. No way.
No, not here. You can't. And it's like,
No.
well, how are you going to, you'd have to make a fire outside to be able to cook your eggs
Yeah.
to have them. And
Yeah.
that's just crazy.
Yeah.
It's so what we did one time is we knew a storm was coming. So what I did for Matt, because I knew that the power was going to go out, what I did is I bought, it's weird, I know, but the things you have to do for your kids when they're on the spectrum and they like pizza. I just cooked a bunch of pizzas and then just kept handing him. And when the power went out, he still had his pizza. It was cold, but it was still his pizza. So he was able to have it. I just kept handing him each pizza as he got, and then the power come back on. We were still happy, So,
Nice.
there are ways to work around things, but still.
Yeah. In the chat, iJedi says you sound like preppers.
Yes.
You don't have a
Yeah.
choice. Sometimes you just don't have a choice, and especially when you have
Sometimes being able to survive like that at college, with the
Mhm.
what is it, the ramen noodles in the instant dish, like those are life skills.
Oh my
That
God,
who knew-
yes.
Who knew we were going to need them now with inflation getting the way it is, with the
I
power
know.
outages we're having because of climate change and all this other stuff going on, and the grid being
Exactly.
overworked, and oh my gosh.
6
Yep.
cases of
Mhm.
MREs. There you go, William. That's
Yeah.
perfect.
I'm kind of happy I was a prepper and I can remember some of that. It's going to
Yeah.
get me through.
Hey,
Cold
whatever
pizza
works.
and everything.
Exactly. Whatever works. Because can you
Exactly.
picture sitting in the dark with a screaming child because they can't have their damn pizza?
Oh God.
Oh my God. I would teach them to like cold pizza. Hey, there's this really unique rare
You can
thing
just
called cold
grab it.
pizza. You've never tried it. Like maybe
Oh.
it's like
I'm actually a really good salesman now because of this kid. I had this unbelievable sales pitch about how you can have your pizza on the go. You can just grab a piece and run, and
Mhm.
you're such a big boy. And this is something you can make yourself. And yeah, and I could start a cult easily now, I guess, because I could just convince people now because I've had to, desperation calls for desperate measures,
Mm.
Exactly. We put it
So-
like portable pizza, portable sandwich. We like the moving kind. Like it tastes better if you're moving. Swear.
Exactly. Anywhere, just
Yeah, let's just go. Like we gotta go. We're late. Like, come on, pick up that portable sandwich and let's go.
yeah, it's a move your butt. So yeah, so that's the funny part, but it's all good. Yeah,
Yeah, it is. It's just we have so much more in common with everyone over there in all of these countries with this distress going on.
Well,
And I'm
that's
sure
it.
they have the same thing.
Exactly. Well, the thing that really reiterates the lesson that we all should pay attention to. We're all human beings. We all have thoughts and hopes and dreams, and we all have the same issues as everyone else. Doesn't matter what we look like, where we're from, or whether we worship or not, or who we worship, or whatever. We all have the same problems and issues, and that's something that I think is a good lesson to learn from these protests and seeing
Mhm.
the list of everything that everyone has issues with. Everyone has issues with the cost of living. I don't care if you're the poorest of the poor or you're the richest of the rich. You're going to see and feel those changes. We do at the
Oh, yeah.
lower end a lot more, but $6 for a gallon of milk.
Yeah.
But and I have a growing child. He's still growing. He still has to have milk. I can't let him go without.
Right.
So,
I mean,
it's just the things you have to do to keep going, but we all have those issues. And so I think.
I hear you. What's funny is it's like there are some countries that do it just a little better. Some of them like get the research and the science behind that. If you want the people so far lower on the chain of like lifestyle and stuff like that in income, to be healthy and happy, are going to be more participating in what you need to do for the country as far as an industrialized country and working at the level that they need. Healthy, happy people just better all around and are
That's it.
more productive, happier to do it, less problems, less revolt, less people
that's it.
showing up in rage at places and things like that. And, I mean, no country's perfect, of course.
Of course.
But some of us are just like here in America are just too extreme about it. It's just too extreme. Too many people get left on the wayside. Yeah.
Way too many.
Yes.
Way too many. I mean, as far as healthcare is concerned, it's crap. We were discussing that earlier, weren't we, Dick? Yeah. A whole bunch of things like that. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's just, everything is going up, and nobody wants to help anybody. You can't get any help anywhere. Healthcare is just so important, and we just can't even have it. And it's just.
Well, true. Here we've got the double. Not only is it not affordable, and then just finding it difficult.
Access to it too.
Yeah, the access to it. So the countries that are at least making it affordable, but they also have problems also with availability and long time frames and people participating in it on the higher end, like the nurses and the doctors and the specialists, they have their own problems with it. They're just more affordable for the people that are using it, a little easy to get through. Here we've got you've got to just jump through hoops to get anywhere and get it if you can get an appointment, and you're not rushed. If you're not rushed through it, because the other end of it is insurance that is so prevalent here in the country as an industry is for profit. And so they don't want to pay the service renderers, the physicians, the hospitals, the nurses, everybody. They don't want to pay them fairly. So they're cutting their time. So if you do get in after 6 months, okay, you're getting a lot less time than you used. The doctor who's already feeling rushed, who already feels that he's looking at somebody that he's going to be treating and he's not going to be paid adequately for it.
Absolutely.
Like you're already getting substandard everything. Even if you can get it. And that's if you can get in and afford to pay for that visit.
Exactly. And it's an out of pocket here in the US. I can remember when I was looking at it when I was in medical billing. And I left medical billing in 2009 to take care of Matt and my parents. Even then, office visits were like $200 just for the physician with self-pay, not including the facility, because they do charge separately in a lot of places. I've looked at my explanation of benefits when it comes back after having my anything done, like even just a routine doctor's visit, even though preventative care is covered fully. Oh my God, it's crazy because you're paying for the facility, you're paying for, for anything, for the doctor themselves, and then you're paying for whatever they use during your, your exam or treatment, or if they decide that you need something and they give you something like, here, take a Tylenol because, you just had something done. $5-10 for a single freaking Tylenol. And I mean, and I'm sure that now with cost of living increases and inflation, it must be insane right now. I don't even want to know.
Yeah, I can't. And I'm sure it's just as bad in a lot of the other.
I have the perfect description for inflation.
Okay. I just can't blink fast enough at that.
I know. Exactly. And I think that deserves a fluff too. What do you think?
Hmm?
Oh, passing gas.
Where's
Thank
Oh,
you. Yes,
there
that's
we
a
go.
fluff.
I gotta flush that one down.
Exactly. So obviously we have issues with our system too, with access of care. I mean, it's so it doesn't matter whether I don't care what anybody says about, about access to care here as compared to other countries that have quote unquote socialized medicine. We don't have access here either, and it's just more expensive. It's just to see a specialist. Matt was supposed to see an endocrinologist last year, and I haven't heard back from them yet. And that was over the summer that I did that. No, this is January. Yeah. So you tell me how much better the capitalist one is. I can guarantee it's not better.
No, I'll take ours, thanks.
Yeah,
Yep,
I don't think
exactly.
capitalists. Yeah, I don't think capitalists could actually say anything is actually better for the people, except for those that are running the capitalists themselves
Mm-hmm.
running things.
Mm-hmm. And that's
The
exactly
only ones
it.
it's getting better for.
Yep. That's it. Those very few. Yep. So.
And wasn't the Cold War about democracy and individual freedoms rather than, oh no, the Cubans have James Bond's healthcare plan. We have to stop them.
Well, we have the freedom to apparently starve to death in our country without any health care.
Mhm.
Yep, that's what we
Yep.
fought for.
Yep, that's exactly
Sorry
what
to
we
be
fought
so
for.
dim about it, but yeah, that's basically what it is.
That's
Democracy
basically
over
what it is.
everything. What? We don't take care of our own people. So yeah, we now have the freedom.
Yeah,
Just,
freedom.
Well, I mean, they're trying to destroy democracy so that we don't vote for things that would make our lives better.
Well, currently they don't really want us to vote, though, do they? It seems like they got the plan. They want to stick to it, and
No.
when we vote against it, they're actually just doing the opposite anyway. So, yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, they said that, not to bring up a sore subject again, but when they said that on that list that the Roe versus Wade thing was, free, and I'm thinking, what? Like 70% of Americans agree that choice should be a thing, whether they believe in the procedure or not. That
Exactly.
body autonomy in a person's and into a full-grown human being has the right to make that decision themselves, and no one should interfere with it. When 70%
Exactly.
of the country says that, and yet they still do that, that's what I mean. It don't matter how we vote and what our opinion was. It seems like they just want to do what they want to do.
Well, that's the problem. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who it affects or anything like that. They don't care. They just care about themselves and lining their pockets.
I did notice a bit of a change, though, in actually the statements that are coming out of the Supreme Court lately. They kind of backtracked on all that stuff that a certain one was saying. If you notice,
Yeah.
especially when the federal government interfered with a couple of rights bills that are like, don't even go there. We're ready for you.
Exactly.
Don't even go there. But I mean, they made it like it was more about what they believe and what they would want instead of what legal precedent is. That's unfortunate because that makes you look kind of strange at the process.
Yeah.
Now you're looking at the Supreme Court like, really? What? Like this, that's not supposed to be about an agenda.
No, there's not supposed to be
Right.
any agenda there. They're supposed to be as impartial as possible. And implementing an agenda goes against that 100%. I mean, that's just insane.
It
What
is.
are they
And
doing?
it's not like we're not naive enough to say that there's not inherent bias in everything. Of course, they're going to have their belief in what they think. But when you're in the legal system like that, at least when you're up there and you're in the highest court as possible, could you keep your mouth shut and not let us know about it? Your bias, please? Like,
Exactly. Don't tell
exactly.
me you're going after certain things or should be gone after next. It's not your business until it gets up there.
Right, exactly. That was a bad move to throw that fastball at the American people and think people were going to squawk about it. Like there was a lot of
Exactly.
pushback on that. Yeah.
Well,
Exactly.
it's a dog. It's a dog that chased a car it was never supposed to catch, and once it got the car, it was like, oh shit! Now everyone's pissed, and it got
Mhm.
dragged where it didn't want to go.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Exactly. Because he's being held to those statements, which were totally out of line and totally not irresponsible to come out of the court that way. And he
Yes, it
needs to
was.
remember he's a member of that court. Wherever he goes and everything that comes out of his mouth is representing that court. Now that's the highest court, no doubt about it. Like be responsible.
Well,
Um,
that's my issue with it. That's my
mm,
issue with it. And a lot of these things that they talk about disproportionately affect women.
mm, disproportionately is yeah, because apparently nothing happened in the 60s, Amy.
No.
No,
Mm-mm.
the 70s never happened.
No.
None of that happened. Okay.
Oh, cool. Then neither have I. So, okay. See ya.
Okay, great. We should at least get a do-over, right? When like let's go in our 25 body selves and then let them see what they do. No, if they're gonna pretend like it doesn't happen. But seriously, yeah, it's some of us
Exactly.
happened in the 60s, yeah. Seriously.
There's a
I
good
know.
question. There's a good question for you both here in the chat from Nicholas.
Okay.
Do you think Russia will break up into several independent states? In short, balkanization? And most importantly, is it beneficial to the West?
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
myself
Mm.
could see Russia breaking up some grabs for power if things really do go
Mhm.
bad. And depending on who's got what where, that might not be the best thing, because you could have some radical dude that goes, whoa, look what I lucked into and got some badass weaponry and just unleashes.
Mhm.
So it
Right.
could go either way, but it's a possibility. That's my opinion, right?
That's what I would think too. It could happen. I'm not so sure how likely it is, but I think it could happen.
I
We've
Mm.
seen it before, like obviously when the USSR ended and it,
Mhm.
and it became the Russian Federation, there were some that, like Ukraine, like the Baltic states that did split away. They
Mhm.
became, independent states. Of course,
Mm.
Eastern Europe behind the Iron Curtain, they became their own independent states as well. So it is a possibility. How much of one, I'm not sure, but
I
and as
uh,
far as beneficial, it could go either way.
yeah, I actually think
China
it's
also
almost
is.
oh, I'm
China,
sorry.
I have a massive delay. China is also getting ready to circle Russia's carcass and get some territories back in the Far East that they lost 100 years ago or something, or 80 years ago.
Oh,
I
well,
actually
there we go.
Yeah, I actually think I see that actually is a very good possibility of happening. Just
Hmm.
on the slight undercurrents that we're getting, for me, watching the dealings that we've had with Russia all along, um, I'm hearing more coming out of there as far as dissent from the
Hmm.
people not agreeing, people not signing up for the army, people not going, with the fact that Putin is much older and been there for so long, and that the younger generation is coming up and people are just not happy. Their way of living has not got 100% better. No, it hasn't. And some of the decisions being made, they're not really going with, although they don't really have an option not to. When all of that is taken into consideration, I can't help but see parts of it just breaking off as if it's not good for them anymore. And I think an
Right.
unsettled Russia, although I'll agree with Dick that it could be pretty volatile, okay?
Yes.
I think that's a
For a
good thing
while.
for the West and democratic countries. An unsettled Russia, a non-united in fear and tyranny Russia can't be a bad thing.
That's
It could
true.
be an unsettled thing, but
Right.
I do think it could be uh a step towards growth. I don't know what kind of growth, but a step towards growth. They've been status quo for so long. Would you not agree? In their mission,
Yes.
in their message, in everything, in their way of life. But we're starting to see little cracks of change coming through, especially in how things are getting reported, what gets leaked out, the people in general. Once they get to a country that they're fighting, how they're acting. If you look at the reporting that's going on the war itself in Ukraine, not exactly what we usually hear coming out of Russia.
That's true.
Okay, so that's what's making me lean towards, there's more movement in Russia with the younger generations than we understand, and with younger politicians, younger people that want come.
Exactly.
It'll probably get volatile, like Diggs says, and we got to worry about people with their fingers on the button, because some hothead come in. My gosh, stop that. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
I have headphones on, so I don't hear it, but I just put my hand on it, so I felt it vibrating. So I do apologize.
No, that's okay.
But I do see it happening, and I don't think it's a bad thing for the West or China or any other countries that are dealing with them, because they won't have as strong my way or the highway attitude. They're going to have to start negotiating when that kind of turmoil comes forward.
Exactly.
They're going to have to negotiating amongst their own people and negotiating with the rest of the world. And I don't think that's a bad thing to have Russia negotiating again, instead of nope, we're the best, we're doing it, we're not talking to you, our way or the highway. That's
exactly. Exactly. It'll weaken them. And I think it'll put them back on the same level as everybody else and level out the playing field. And that's never a bad thing.
I don't think we'll ever hear them admit that they're just like the rest of us, ever.
Well, that's it. But
we might be able to point and laugh and say,
exactly.
You might be.
You might be. Exactly. Yeah. And that's what and I think that's a definite good thing. And it needs to happen. It really does. And even though they may not realize it, but the rest of us will. And I think it'll put a lot of other people at ease too. So I think it would be a good thing, to weaken them and then having to negotiate everything and not being able to continue the war in Ukraine. There was a second good question in the chat too, from Daniel Segua. He says, I have a question. If Ukraine wins the war, is there any possibility of Kaliningrad independence and Moldova will find some way to rid of Russia's Transnistria? I don't know. That is a very good question. Thank you very much for that. That would be an awesome thing
it would. A winning of a war could bolster many other issues forward in a more positive way with
absolutely
more hope. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's I think so. And if they did, I guess if people don't know, there is where Kaliningrad is, it's next to the Baltic states. It's just a little chunk of land that's part of Russia in Europe. And it's separated from the rest of mainland Russia, I'll call it, for lack of a better term. And it's just this little spot that's just all by itself, but it's still part of Russia. I would love to see them be independent. I think it'd be kind of cool to have a brand new country, and
yeah,
and hopefully Moldova will be able to, rid themselves of any messes that they might have from having somebody else controlling part of their territory. Yes, Silver Earth, free Navalny. I'd love to see that too. He was a really good opposition leader who wanted to take Russia in a better direction than Putin would. And yes. Oh, and the cool thing the other day is I found we have Poutine emoji somewhere from one of my Discord. Actually, it was a French language Discord. So yes, we'll have to make some for us. So that way, whenever we talk about Poutine, we can put those in the chat instead, because I can't call him my pronunciation. I look at the word and I'm thinking, Jose Reyes is laughing at me. But it's because if I called him the other word, if I pronounced it the way it looks, it would be a very rude word. And that's not me. And you know how I am about.
Well, it's not like it's not deserved. I mean, that's the thing. You can't yeah.
Exactly.
Doesn't his name sound like he smells? poot,
Yes.
like in a poot.
The tootin' Putin. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. I'm sure he
does.
smells everywhere he goes. Yes, absolutely.
Yes, especially after he fell down those stairs.
I'm sure he hates that we all know about that. You know he hates that we all know about that. Oh my. And that's the thing. That's out here, right, Aimee? And that goes to my point. And thank you, Dick. That was like
Yeah. It was brilliant. He just did that fluff right at the perfect
I know,
time.
just like tootin' Putin here. But the fact that we know he fell down those stairs proves my point. We know more that's going on there in the unrest. That people are leaking that kind of stuff to embarrass him and the government and everything else all the time now. We know much more. 10 years ago, that would have happened. Nobody would have known about it. No one would have known about it.
I checked the secret Shills news feed, and we have an authentic recording of the moment that Poutine hit the ground. You want to hear what really happened? Check this out. There you have it.
So he fart. Wait a minute. Are you saying he fart propelled himself down those stairs?
Yeah. It was on purpose, but he missed the landing and had a little scream out.
Go ahead, Commander. I'm sorry.
I wonder if he even like showers, whether or not he's afraid that someone's going to put poison in the water.
That is a good question. That is a very good question.
Oh
yes.
I can't even imagine living under that kind of pressure. Yeah.
I know.
Should we award Poutine the Idiot of the Week?
Yes, please.
I can't think of a better one.
And a grub muffin, please.
Never gets old.
Thank you. No, it doesn't. There's a good point in the chat. Benny Verhoeven says that sounded wet.
It did. Well, it was a flight of stairs involved. It really should have been. I mean, if it's going to be, it really should have been if you're going to go down a flight of stairs. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, here,
exactly.
I can do that too. Watch here. Let me turn this one up because it's just wet.
Oh dear Lord.
He's got a full load. He's got a full load.
That's the channel's new troll slap. So watch your step.
That dog looks like he's on a mission from the minute he hits the screen. Like he's walking like, I know what's coming. Get ready. I got something for you. Just hold on.
Exactly. That's brilliant.
That's Saunter, right? He's just like, yeah.
I know. Yeah.
Oh God.
It's brilliant. Yeah, he does that fluff, and I mean, it's got substance to it too. That's not good. I think there's a name for it, but I don't know. They call it something, but I think it has something rude in it, so I'll leave it alone.
Okay.
Exactly.
Like Mark buys it moist.
Oh
God.
Gosh, you got that voice. No matter what you say, it sounds like a dirty word. Like, damn. Like,
sorry.
No, don't apologize. It's just like, whoa.
Like,
oh, that's funny.
We have to borrow that clip from Jet Monk of the hippo doing the diarrhea, and that's a photo of Putin.
Oh, you're gonna put that with Putin? That would be epic.
That would be. So, that's brilliant.
I can't, why is it whenever we start talking about politics, if we bring up Russia, the whole show goes to poop.
Exactly.
Seriously. To poop. It's like our final note on it. Poop. Well, hey, he deserves it. He does. He just deserves it. I don't know what else. But it was a good question. It was a good question.
It was an excellent question. It was. And they had a second part. They had also to continue the question, What do you also think the future of Moldova after Transnistria ceased to exist? Do you think Moldova will stay as a country or merge together with Romania?
I-
Those are very good questions.
yeah.
They might stay their own country, but then again, that's up in the air. I mean, they might rejoin Romania, but
There's some benefit to rejoining Romania if they're just newly going to not be influenced by Russia. You know, having a little bit more might behind you to keep them away would be good, but I can understand why they want to be in.
Yeah.
But it's not
Exactly.
easy. The desire to be independent and wanting things your way is there, and the people will fight for it. But it's the systems you put into place to actually take care of you once it happens that are going to matter the most. Like, it takes a lot of forethought ahead of time. You can't just win to get away. You have to actually be able to run everything.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that takes a lot. Like, that takes a lot of
It does.
planning and knowing what you want and putting it all in place beforehand. Some benefit to being part of Romania for that would be there. For some protection while you work all that out.
Exactly.
But I don't know what country is going to take you on a temporary basis. Like, can I come be part of you so the neighbor next door doesn't beat on me for a while I work things out for myself? And then I'm just going to kick you to the curb in a couple of years. Okay, you good with that, boo?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can
don't know
I
if that's
park
gonna
on
work.
your couch for a
Yeah,
while?
yeah. Exactly. I
Yes.
promise. It will only be for so long, just until I get right. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Exactly.
Doesn't usually
Michelle,
work in country negotiations.
that's true. That's true. You know, it's yeah. But we'll see. Maybe they will stay independent. Maybe they'll be able to forge their own way. And I know it'll probably be a little bit rough for a while, but maybe they can still hang in there and keep trying and
Mhm.
keep going. And wouldn't hurt to
I-
have a new little country there. I mean,
No, not at all. Yeah. I would say I don't know that much about it there, but if the people want it and they're willing to find a way, then I hope that they get it. I just
I
hope
do.
that, because if they don't, there's always going to be that unrest. They'll be against this one or that whatever they become a part of, they're not going to fit in and they're going to have that unrest.
Mm-hmm.
I hope if
Exactly.
that's what they want, they actually have a plan that take care of themselves so they can actually achieve it.
Exactly. Exactly.
The
Oh, yeah.
we is there any mention of events in Iran? Because as far as I recall, I had told you I was going to
Yes.
swallow is getting even worse as an asshole supreme leader, right?
And
Mhm.
it's not getting better at all.
Not
Is
at
it,
all.
Aimee?
It's really bad. Yeah, it's not going well at all. I'm gonna look for that link, but yeah, they even executed a deputy minister from defense, a ministry defense.
Jesus.
You know, a defense ministry person, and yeah, so they even executed someone as high as that. It's getting really bad there. If you seem to fall out of line with Khamenei, I mean, he's just gonna, oh, let's just, it's an affront to God, so we're gonna hang everybody, and it's God.
Mm,
That's so bad.
it's ridiculous.
It
It's
is.
just holy shit, man. Aren't the people like important in this equation somewhere? Holy God.
Well, the
Well, that's
protests would
exactly
say
it.
so. Now they're protesting all the executions in everybody in the
Mhm.
prison. Like, they're protesting the whole procedure of it. Uh, it's just getting crazy, and they're going up the chain. Like, really important people that get rid of.
Exactly. Yes, and I put it in the green room, Dick. Yeah, so with this one, they hung the former deputy defense minister, drawing international condemnation because they had warned them not to do it, because he wasn't just an Iranian citizen, he was also a British citizen. So
Yeah, dual citizenship, like, that's not
mhm.
cool.
Yeah, that's really bad. Iran said Saturday that it executed a former high-ranking defense ministry official and dual Iranian-British national, despite international warnings not to carry out the death sentence. The execution further escalated tensions within the West and amid the nationwide anti-government protests shaking the Islamic Republic. The hanging of Ali Reza Akbari, a close ally of top security official Ali Shamkhani, suggests an ongoing power struggle within Iran's theocracy as it tries to contain the demonstrations over the September death of Mahsa Amini. It also harkened back to the mass purges of the military that immediately followed Iran's 1979 Islamic Revolution. Akbari's hanging drew immediate anger from London, which, along with the US and others, has sanctioned Iran over the protests, and it's supplying Russia with the bomb-carrying drones now targeting Ukraine. This was a callous and cowardly act carried out by a barbaric regime with no respect for the human rights of their own people, British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak said. Foreign Secretary James Cleverly summoned Iran's chargé d'affaires in the United Kingdom and separately warned this will not stand unchallenged. Iran similarly summoned the British ambassador after the execution. Iran's Mizan news agency, associated with the country's judiciary, announced Akbari's hanging without saying when it happened. However, there were rumors that he had been executed days earlier. Iran has alleged, without providing evidence, that Akbari served as a source for Britain's secret intelligence service, known popularly as MI6. A lengthy statement issued by Iran's judiciary claimed Akbari received large sums of money, his British citizenship, and other help in London for providing information to the intelligence service. However, Iran long has accused those who travel abroad or have Western ties of spying, often using them as bargaining chips in negotiations. Akbari, who ran a private think tank, is believed to have been arrested in 2019, but details of his case only emerged in recent weeks. Those accused of espionage and other crimes related to national security are usually tried behind closed doors, where rights groups say they do not choose their own lawyers and are not allowed to see evidence against them. Iranian state television aired a highly edited video of Akbari discussing the allegations, footage that resembled other claimed confessions that activists have described as coerced confessions. The BBC Farsi language service aired an audio message from Akbari on Wednesday in which he described being tortured. By using physiological and psychological methods, they broke my will, drove me to madness, and forced me to do whatever they wanted, Akbari said in the audio. By the force of gun and death threats, they made me confess to false and corrupt claims. Iran has not commented on the torture claims. However, the United Nations human rights chief has warned Iran against the weaponization of the death penalty as a means to put down the protests. On Friday, State Department Deputy Spokesman Vedant Patel also criticized Akbari's pending execution. The charges against Ali Reza Akbari and his sentencing to execution were politically motivated. His execution would be unconscionable, he said. We are greatly disturbed by the reports that Mr. Akbari was drugged, tortured while in custody, interrogated for thousands of hours, and forced to make false confessions. He added, more broadly, Iran's practices of arbitrary and unjust detentions, forced confessions, and politically motivated executions are completely unacceptable and must end. Robert Malley, the U.S. Special Envoy for Iran, says he was horrified by Akbari's execution. The Islamic Republic's unjust detentions, forced confessions, sham trials, and politically motivated executions must end, he wrote online. French President Emmanuel Macron also decried what he called a heinous and barbaric act. German Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock said on Twitter that the execution is a further inhuman act by the Iranian regime. Iran is one of the world's top executioners. However, it wasn't immediately clear when the last time of a former or current high-ranking defense official had been executed. In 1984, Iran executed its Navy chief, Admiral Bahram Afzali, along with 9 other military people on a charge of spying for the Soviet Union. Iran's government for months has been trying to allege, without offering evidence, that foreign countries have fomented the unrest gripping the Islamic Republic since the death of 22-year-old Amini in September after her detention by the morality police. Protesters say they are angry over the collapse of the economy, heavy-handed policing, and the entrenched power of the country's Islamic clergy. For several years, Iran has been locked in a shadow war with the United States and Israel, marked by covert attacks on its disputed nuclear program. The killing of Iran's top nuclear scientist in 2020, which Iran blamed on Israel, indicated foreign intelligence services had made major inroads. Iran mentioned that scientist in discussing Akbari's case, though it's unclear what current information, if any, he would have had on him. Akbari had previously led the implementation of a 1988 ceasefire between Iran and Iraq, following their devastating 8-year war, working closely with UN observers. He served as a deputy defense minister under Shamkhani during reformist President Mohammad Khatami's administration, likely furthering his credentials, making his credentials suspicious to hardliners within Iran's theocracy. Today, Shamkhani is the secretary of the Supreme National Security Council of Iran, their country's top security body, which Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei oversees. Akbari's audio message aired by the BBC Persian included him saying he was accused of obtaining top secret information from Shamkhani in exchange for a bottle of perfume and a shirt. However, it appears Shamkhani remains in his role. The anti-government protests now shaking Iran are one of the biggest challenges to the Islamic Republic since the 1979 revolution. At least 520 protesters have been killed and 19,400 people have been arrested, according to human rights activists in Iran, a group that has been monitoring the unrest. Iranian authorities have not provided official figures on deaths or arrests. Iran has executed 4 people after convicting them of charges linked to the protests and similarly criticized trials, including attacks on security forces.
That's some scary reading. They are completely and utterly a mess, and you cannot just bully people into submission in this modern day and age. It'll never work. They're going to have to kill them all to stop it. It's not going to happen.
And they have 19,400 of them in jail right now, and that's why everybody's speaking out. Like, because if they decide that they were going against the country, it's an automatic death sentence.
That's
exactly.
ridiculous.
It's disgusting.
And they don't get to fight back. They don't.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
You know,
They
if they were in the crowd, if they were anywhere there, they're guilty automatically. Like, it's just who they're going to decide to put it on first. You know, make the message, but they're all at risk. Terrible.
Unbelievable.
It's bad, and it's very scary. I feel for the people of Iran right now, because that's just, holy cow, there's so much upheaval right now, and it's scary.
It is, and just trying to find something that can actually be done about it. Some countries like ourselves are putting sanctions on the individual events like that, but tweets and comments and news articles aren't going to do it. It is helping get the awareness out there that it's going on, but trying to actually get help there to do anything.
Can you imagine being in a position where you have to protest it because it's the right thing to do, but it could literally be a life-altering or threatening decision to do so? I can't even get my head around it.
There is no if or could there. It actually is.
It is. It is life-threatening. It's very much so. You know, you could come out of that injured or killed, and as we've seen, even children.
Yeah, they didn't care. They shoot into the crowd, right into your back, not even at people coming at them. Protesters
they just were shooting
in the back while they're walking away, or not even, confronting officers or anyone. Children, teenagers, the elderly, anyone.
And look how many, the last report we did on Iran, it was amazing how many children were killed because they were shot by these cowards. And it's just disgusting. What can a child really do to you?
To me, it means, that protest, if the parents had the children there with them, or their brothers or their sisters or whoever, if they had minors and all there, these were just protests. I don't see it being violent at that point. Why would they have all those children
they were just
there?
marching.
Right. It's more like the people oppressing, trying to get them to break it up, where the violence is starting. Because I can't imagine. I mean, just as a parent, or a reasonable adult, you wouldn't be bringing young children in.
Well, funnily enough, I was reading some of the stories, and some of these kids were doing it of their own accord, like
they wanted to be there,
and they wanted to be there. They wanted to go and protest because this is their future. How brave are they? 12 and 13, and
Totally.
any of the teenagers, 16, 17. I mean, they're still just kids, and they're going out and they're knowing what could happen because they're seeing it. They're seeing it firsthand, and they're still going out there and still protesting for their future.
It's a way. I kind of agree with Maya is saying, that it's really not about the children. It's so a force. They want a chilling
Yes.
effect. Yes. They want the older generation or those that are more religious that agree with them to push back on their own family members about the protest, to say, look what you did. Look what you did. Instead of, it's not the protest that killed people. It's the gun. Okay. It's the person shooting it. But they want you to think that it's because you have a voice
because
about
they were
something,
protested. Exactly.
that is the responsibility, where the responsibility lies. And no.
Exactly. No, my highlight is because look how much braver these children are than these soldiers who are shooting into the crowd like that.
And I agree with you, Chris. Go on,
oh, that's okay. No, I was just saying. Yeah, it just shows you how much braver the children are than the soldiers who are firing into the crowd to instill fear. They have a leg up. They have the weapons. Do these kids have weapons? 12 to 16, 17, 18 years old, because you tell me who's the braver one out of that. They are cowards, and yes, they are doing it as a chilling effect, and they are doing it to instill fear. They but really what it's doing, and what I've seen a lot of, is it's pissing people off.
Yes.
Case in point, the whole reason why they're protesting, one of the catalysts for the protests, Mahsa Amini, she was killed by the morality police, and people are getting pissed off. You get pissed off enough and adrenaline kicks in and you don't care anymore sometimes. You're just going to go out there and you're going to fight for what's right. And what they're fighting against is crap. So
it is
good for them.
The weapon they have is their contrary opinion. It's going against growth. That's the weapon they have. And when they are even fighting, when they're even protesting in a civilized manner, that's dangerous to these people, because people might see it and they might listen to it. It's just the actual having the opposing opinion is the weapon that they're so afraid of anybody going against them.
You cut out there a couple times, Claire. We missed a couple words there. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just talking about the opposing opinion is the actual weapon that the protesters are using, and that terrifies the other side. That's what they find so dangerous about the protests, the reason, and that people might listen to them at all.
Exactly. So it was, Sleet says it was the younger folks who did the protests against the Shah in the late 70s. This despite the efforts of SAVAK. Yeah. Historically, killing unarmed children is a fairly powerful catalyst. Yeah. It is. That's very true. And Jose Reyes says, and guess how they propagandize the West? They show us as animals, quote unquote, rioting and protesting the government. The irony is so thick. Yeah.
Exactly. Wow.
Very true. Very true. Very good points. So, yeah. So what are we thinking? Oh, sorry.
Well,
go ahead.
It's in my view, looking at the different places that have social unrest and protest and, more serious stuff going on, I can't help but find myself in a situation where I look to social media and the spread of what's going on in the world in different places to all places. And you can't help but see people in Iran going, wait a minute, I want to, some chick going, I want to just be able to buy blue jeans and wear a t-shirt and, go shopping. Fuck this. I've had it, Because how can you, when you have social media and see what the rest of the world are up to, live under that kind of repression, oppression, wherever you want to take that is fine. But you know what I mean? Who nobody could. Those days of these religious government type overlords that can control your every move, those people are going to find that it's over now. It's just a matter of time.
Exactly. And they're going to push against, you push down on someone hard enough for long enough, and they're going to push back, and they're going to get sick and tired of being held down instead of allowed to be who you want to be, and to be fairly free to do, go out in public as you please without having to put a scarf on, without having to do anything. And of course, these laws, who do they affect?
Yes.
I've been on this kick lately too. Women. So we're just gonna come right out and say it straight, and to see the men step up and want to see their sisters and their wives and their girlfriends have the same freedoms they do. It's a beautiful thing, and seeing that aspect of it is actually the silver lining of the whole thing. Everybody wants this freedom for everyone, and it's a good thing to see. And I hope, against hope, that they get it. I just think that's been the most beautiful part. Seeing everyone come together, from the elderly right down to the kids, all wanting to be out there and saying, "We've had enough. We don't want this anymore."
Yeah.
And that's a good thing.
A very
That's a
good
definite
thing.
good thing. Oh, well, we might in the West, but we also have our own minds. If we can always, because I see Driving in Luton says in the West we have media overlords that tell us how we have to think and act. Well, not necessarily.
Mhm.
Be your own person anyway. That's the way I am. Nobody
Yeah,
likes
true.
it. Well, tough shit.
Good show.
I can't understand.
You
I can't understand why they're making the comment though, because
I
it
do
is getting
understand
more
it.
prevalent.
It
Yeah.
is, and it's on
Yeah.
both sides. It's on
Mhm.
both sides.
Exactly.
So before I get shot down for that, it's on both sides. You have one side telling, well, you got to do this and you've got to accept this, and then you have the other side saying, well, you've got to do this and you've got to accept this, and what you do is you just say no.
I was just gonna say there's this thing called an off button. So I press that quite regularly and just say, get fucked to the world, of YouTube and all that.
Yeah.
It's like, I got some better things to do. Thank you.
Exactly. Aimee, I got a button for your just say no. There we go.
Thank you.
Yeah. We get to just say no if they let us, right, Aimee? I mean, that's becoming more.
That's becoming a
issue.
little, yeah.
Yeah.
As things are starting to be chipped and scratched away, it's like, so.
Yeah, it should be easy. I'd like to just turn off the button and not pay attention to it, but they're kind of making it impossible these days.
Exactly.
Yeah. Boy, we covered a lot. Boy, did we. Like, we went from
We
the
sure
darkest of the
did.
darkest to the lightest of the lightest with a little bit of poop in between, so to speak.
The Great Chicken Wars and the poutine fall of shame.
Yes. But, it's hard to be light about some of it. But, we have to, we don't want to put anybody off, but you have to be somewhat, looking at it, especially when we're finding so little we can do about it being so far away, and understanding how horrible it is and how much, like, you can only feel grateful that right now here in the United States, we don't exactly have those kind of protests going on. And that type of second class citizenship going on yet, but it also gives you fear about what could be, I mean, how close we could be.
Exactly.
Which is why we talk about it, right, Aimee? This is why
that's why we talk about it. Exactly.
Right.
And we bring it to the forefront so people can see this and see for themselves what we're talking about and why it's important.
When I do that, I always get this picture in my head of a really old black and white of Lost in Space, and that really old fashioned robot with the flingy little arms going, "Warning, Will Robinson, warning," like over and over again. That's exactly what I picture in my head when I start those political conversations. Like it's just all about that. Yeah.
That's funny.
Exactly. That's too funny.
I watch too much ancient TV.
That's okay.
With my grand. Yeah, with my grand. Like, she got me, like, even stuff she'd never seen before when she came over here. Like, and she wanted to see it all, stuff she heard about when she was younger. And she'd come over here and want to watch all the old black and whites and all these old series and everything. It's like really cool. But that was one
cool.
of them. Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that. Yep. I love it. That's brilliant.
I have you know that we have connections here at the Shills. We know a lot of celebrity folks and whatnot, right? And none other than Hikaru Sulu has sent in a special message for all the tyrants out there.
Your intellect is as weak as your dollar. Failure is your destiny. You disrespect yourself and your nation. You are made of stupid.
That's my favorite
And also
part.
poop.
And poop.
Yes. Stupid poop. I love it. I love it. That's my favorite part, though. You are made of stupid.
Yeah. George Takei, he's amazing.
I love him. I've always loved him. He's a national treasure. He's just incredible.
Totally.
A world treasure is more like it.
Yeah.
I just love that.
Oh, too funny.
Oh man, William Kirchmeyer's doing all the quotes now from Lost in Space. I'm like reminiscing here.
Aw, that's awesome.
It's like, yes. Oh gosh, it's great. I'm glad somebody else remembers.
Danger, Will Robinson. Danger.
Yeah, it wasn't warning, it was danger. And then,
Yeah.
oh my God, that
Danger.
robot was lit. Yeah.
That's brilliant. I love it.
Well, you know what? It looks like we're right on time. I can't believe it.
I
Who
think
would've
we
thought?
are.
Yeah. who would've
I
thought?
know.
Look
So
at
what
us
do we-
breaking down that glass wall and all those rumors about women not being able to be on time for anything. Progress.
Well, the funny thing when Bob was alive, he'd always fuss and complain because I was slow. But then you know what? You know who was always ready first?
You.
Even after, yes.
Yeah. And that would be
Mhm.
after you got his clothes, you got ready, you make sure he was fed and knew what he was supposed to do for the day, right?
Exactly. Like getting
exactly.
ready. Like getting ready for graduation. I laid out his clothes. I laid out his tie. I, laid out everything. Ran and got the baby ready. Got him all cleaned up. Cleaned the puke off myself. Put a pin on my dress so that I wouldn't have throw up showing.
And who got your clothes ready? Nobody. You did, right?
I did. Yes.
Mhm.
I got dressed with a baby in my arms. Fun.
With my ex, we'd go through all of that, and then he would say something about what I was wearing as we're almost there. And I'm like, you couldn't, like, the only thing you had to do was make sure I left the house decent. You couldn't even take a look while we were home. You had to wait till we're like at the place, like what? Like, okay.
And I'm also carrying too. I mean, I had the baby had thrown up on me, so I washed it off as best I could. So when I folded the dress over and pinned it, I'm carrying a pocket of puke here. Come on, dude. I'm ready, and I'm still ready before.
Exactly. And these rumors have to be tamped down.
Yes,
we must
they
keep
do.
the
They have to be
misinformation at bay.
Watch out. Or
nipped in the
Dick's
bud and
gonna
kicked in the
cut you
butt.
off.
I know he's gonna cut us off.
Remember.
We're still on time. I'm watching the clock. We didn't go over because that would ruin everything. Like, so no, I'm watching it. No, we're not over yet.
Big fest at the end of the show. Okay.
Exactly.
Dick, you're an
can't be as bad.
asshole.
It can't be as bad as the one from Starsky's. Like, that was lit. I couldn't believe. Like,
Was it really? Oh, I missed that one.
Well, David Worley didn't have Nick to play with, so he was picking on me instead. And it kind of made it public because we were.
Well, there was a super chat during the credits. So right as the credits ended and Ferris Bueller went away, we went live again. We cut in to read the super chat out, and between these two, it turned into chaos. It was hilarious.
We kind of used some words you're not supposed to say on YouTube because we always like tease each other back and forth. And he's congratulating himself for not calling me a B at all during the whole show, and I just yelled out, "Oh my God, you deep pedant! Be back!" And like, I think the whole thing was live. Now
Yeah, it was hilarious.
But
Brilliant.
But to tamp down that misinformation, I love Dave Worley. Like, no,
I know. He's so
there's
funny.
nothing- Yeah,
He's got
And
such
he
a dry sense of humor.
he does, and he doesn't. It's not mean when he calls me dad. He's usually
no.
right. I will admit, he's usually right if he says that to me. But yeah,
He can insult you and make you laugh all in one
he
sentence.
does all in
He
one
does. He's
sentence.
good at
That's that English wry humor, which I love.
Exactly.
He's snarky as all hell. That's it.
Exactly.
Yeah, but that was a moment. That was a clip moment for sure.
That's awesome.
So we got to make sure Nick comes around more often. I can't take that kind of pressure anymore. Dave. We need somebody for Dave to play with besides me. Because
no, I'm not the stuffed mouse. I'm done.
That is it. Like, tag Bear, you're it. Nope, Bear's out. That was it for me. Boo.
That's it.
You win. I'm out.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was brilliant. And thank you, everyone, for coming tonight. We appreciate it so much. So thank you, everyone in the chat. We had a great time. Thank you for all the great comments. You've been wonderful. Thank you. And thank you for the interaction. And I want to thank everyone in the panel for coming too as well. Thank you so much. I can't do it without you either. So there we go. Well, thank you, everybody. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night, everybody. Boom.
Good night.
It's over. Go home. Go.